Maya Chin stared at the notice on her tablet that said she had been reassigned. Her coffee was getting cold in her hand. Data entry specialist to the creature containment unit. Starting right away. She whispered, "This has to be a mistake," and her fingers shook as she tapped the screen again, hoping the words would change. They didn't. The Galactic Research Station orbited a faraway moon and held the most dangerous specimens in all of space. Maya was very happy to be in her cubicle, far away from the reinforced cells and emergency procedures that made up the containment wing. Her heart raced as she rushed to human resources. Richard, the administrator, who looked bored, hardly looked up from his screen. "Please, there was a mistake. I don't have the right skills for containment," Maya begged. "I don't know how to deal with dangerous creatures." Richard looked through his files. "According to this, you finished the xenobiology orientation and passed the basic safety test. That was an online course that everyone had to take. I've never even been to the containment wing. Look, there aren't enough people at the station. We just got a Class A Apex Predator yesterday, and we need everyone to help. Your task is still due." He waved his hand in a dismissive way. "Go to Chief Handler Bronson at 0800 tomorrow." Maya walked out of the office in a daze. She couldn't sleep that night because her mind was racing with pictures of teeth and claws and the screams she had heard echoing through the lower levels of the station. The next morning she stood in front of the huge doors that kept people in, her badge shaking in her hand. Chief Bronson was a big, tough man with scars and eyes that had seen too much death. "You're the empath?" he asked, looking her up and down with clear disappointment. My name is Maya. But I think there has been not enough time for that. We have a problem." He took her through a maze of hallways, with each door getting stronger than the last. "Got this thing on Theta 7 3 days ago. The most aggressive specimen we've ever seen. 2 handlers were killed while being transported." Maya's stomach sank. "And you want me to?" "The sedatives don't work anymore. It's getting stronger. We need someone who can understand how it works and guess where it will go next." He stopped in front of a window. "We heard that you can read emotional patterns well. In people. Before this job, I worked as a crisis counselor. I've never..." As she looked through the reinforced glass, her words died. The creature was both beautiful and scary at the same time. Its body was covered in overlapping plates that shimmered like oil on water and changed color from deep purple to black. It was at least 12 feet tall. 6 strong limbs ended in sharp claws that could cut through steel. It had a strange, angular head with many eyes that glowed a creepy amber color. It had spikes down its back, and when it roared, the whole room shook. But what impressed Maya the most was not its physical strength. Every move was full of wild, desperate rage. The creature kept throwing itself against the walls, clawing, biting, and screaming in anger. Bronson said, "We call it Specimen 471. The team has started calling it the Reaper." Maya put her hand on the glass, and her empathic senses reached out without her thinking about it. She felt something else under the anger. Something that the others didn't see. Fear. Fear that is raw, primal, and suffocating. "It's scared," she said in a low voice. Bronson snorted. "That thing? It's a killing machine. It only knows how to be aggressive." "No." Maya shook her head, feeling more sure of herself. "Check out how it attacks. It's not trying to get away. It's trying to look more dangerous and threatening. That's a way to protect yourself. Defense? It took the lives of 2 of my best people. Because it thought they were going to hurt it first." Maya looked at him and spoke calmly, even though she was scared. "I know this seems impossible, but I can help. Please just give me a chance." Bronson looked at her for a long time. The other handlers behind him looked on with doubt. One of them, a woman named Lisa with cybernetic arms, laughed out loud. "You want to put the girl with the data in there? She'll be there for 30 seconds. "Don't put me in the cell," Maya said quickly. "Just let me watch. Let me see if I can figure out its patterns." Another handler said, "This is crazy." But Bronson shocked everyone. "You have 72 hours. If you can't show progress, we'll start the process of firing you. The director of the station won't take the chance of keeping something this dangerous alive for a long time." Maya felt the weight of what was said. You had 72 hours to show that empathy could cross species, or this beautiful animal would die. She turned around and looked through the glass. The creature had stopped attacking and was staring at her with all of its eyes. For a brief moment, their eyes met. And Maya promised herself that she would understand you. At dawn, Maya came to the containment wing with a notebook and a thermos of tea. The people who worked the night shift looked tired, and their eyes were red from watching the creature attack over and over again. "Didn't sleep at all," one person told Bronson. "Same pattern. It attacks like clockwork every 47 minutes, then it paces for exactly 12 minutes before starting again. Maya wrote this down. Patterns meant smart. Patterns meant something. I need to get into the observation room, she said. The one that has the audio feed. Lisa put her arms across her chest. Are you going to talk to it? It doesn't know how to speak English. I'm going to listen. Maya sat in the small observation booth for the next 6 hours, writing down her thoughts in a notebook while wearing headphones. She didn't see the creature attack. In between, she watched everything. How it went around the cell in a counterclockwise direction all the time. The way it touched the same spot on the eastern wall every time it turned, its talons scraping softly, almost reverently. When it thought no one was watching, its eyes got darker and the amber glow turned into something sadder. And the noises. Oh, the noises. There were other sounds besides the roars. Quiet chirps. Low thumps that shook the audio feed. She thought she heard something like a whimper at one point. This is pointless, said Marcus, a handler who brought her a sandwich at hour 8. You're just watching it go around and around. Maya said softly, no, and didn't look away from the screen. I'm watching it cry. Grieve? It's a living thing. Is it? She rewound the video and pointed to a part of it. Hey, look here. Its body language changes every time it touches that wall. The anger goes down. It gets soft. That isn't random. Marcus leaned in and frowned. Maybe it's marking its territory. Then why doesn't it mark anywhere else? And why does it only happen when it thinks no one is looking? Maya hit the notebook with her pen. What if that wall is facing the way to its home world? What if it is remembering? You're making too much of this. Maya, on the other hand, wasn't listening anymore. She watched as the creature settled into the far corner, its huge body curling up in a way that looked almost protective. It had its claws close together and its spikes flat against its back. The way something is standing to make itself smaller. Hiding. On the second day, Maya tried to get in touch with him directly for the first time. She stood in front of the reinforced glass, where the creature could see her, and just waited. The creature saw her right away. Its eyes turned amber and it charged the wall with a loud roar. The handlers jumped back and put their hands on their weapons, but Maya stayed still. She said quietly, "You're scared too," knowing that the soundproof glass couldn't hear her. "I see you." The creature hit the barrier again, and its claws screeched against the clear metal. But this time Maya saw something. The attack wasn't meant for her. It was aimed a little to her left, at the armed guards who were behind her. She looked at Bronson. "Can everyone else go? Just for 10 minutes. Not at all. Protocols. Please. I need to test something." Bronson thought for a second and then nodded quickly. 10 minutes. We will be watching from the screens. Maya went back to the glass after the others left. This time she sat down with her legs crossed to make herself look smaller and less scary. She put her hands flat on the floor to show that she was open. The creature tilted its head, which was a very curious move. They just stared at each other for 5 whole minutes. Maya took slow, deep breaths to calm her fear. She thought peaceful thoughts, like memories of quiet mornings and soft rain. She tried to make her presence as safe as possible by being as empathetic as she could. The creature's eyes got a little less bright. It dropped a little bit of its spikes. Then it did something amazing. It sat down. Not an aggressive crouch, but a real seated position that looked as much like her posture as its alien body would let it. Maya's breath stopped. "You're trying to talk," she said softly. Someone swore in disbelief over the intercom. The moment was ruined when the doors opened and the handlers came back. The creature jumped up right away and roared, ready to fight again. But Maya had seen through the anger. This wasn't a mindless animal. The pressure got worse on the 3rd day. The station director, Kovac, went to the containment wing. She was a strict woman in a spotless uniform. "I've looked over your reports, Miss Chin," she said in a cold voice. "I see a lot of guesswork and not much real progress. We've lost 2 lives and a lot of resources because of this creature. I'm moving the termination up to tomorrow unless you can show me for sure that it's not a threat." Maya said, "It's not a threat, it's threatened. Please give me more time. I'm almost there. You're emotionally weak. You have made a predator into a person." Kovac was about to leave. "Tomorrow. 1800 hours. Make your case or it dies." Maya stayed up all night going over every second of footage and every note she had taken. She must have been missing something, a key to opening up communication. She found it at 3 a.m. The soft thrums the creature made weren't random. They all did the same thing. A beat. And when she compared them to the creature's movements, they matched perfectly with times when it was calm. It was trying to calm itself down. like a person humming to calm down. Maya's hands shook when she understood what it meant. This creature had more than just feelings. It was aware of itself. It was aware that it was scared and was trying to deal with it. She ran to the observation room and turned on the outside speakers, which are usually used to sound alarms. The people in charge looked at her like she was crazy. "What are you up to?" Marcus asked. Maya didn't respond. She opened the audio file of the creature's thrums, found the pattern and played it back through the speakers. The effect happened right away. The creature stopped moving. It opened its eyes wide. Then it made the noise again, this time louder and more slowly. Maya played the pattern again. The creature answered with a different one. "It's talking to you," Marcus said with a sigh. "No," Maya said, her eyes full of tears. "It's talking to itself. And for the first time since it was caught, it's not by itself." The discovery changed everything and nothing at the same time. Maya had shown that the creature could hear patterns and respond to them, but Director Kovac was still not convinced. "So it can learn the basics," Kovac said at the emergency meeting. "Lots of predators do. That doesn't mean it's safe." "It's not just basic learning," Maya said as she pulled up her data on the screen in the conference room. "Look at how complicated the response patterns are. It's not just copying, it's also making changes and combinations. That needs some abstract thought." Bronson, who had been quiet until now, leaned in. "What do you mean, Chin?" "I'm saying that this creature is aware. Fully aware. And I think it's been trying to talk to us since we caught it, but we've been too busy keeping it contained to hear it." Lisa shook her head. "That may be true, but it has killed people. That makes it dangerous whether it knows it or not." Maya said, "It killed people who were holding it down, drugging it and scaring it. Wouldn't you fight back if someone did that to you?" The room stopped talking. Kovac finally spoke. "You have until tomorrow to get it done. If you can really talk to each other, not just recognize patterns, I'll give you a stay of termination." "But Maya." Her face softened almost without anyone noticing. "Don't confuse a predator's cleverness with friendship. These things don't think like we do." Maya hardly left the observation room that night. She worked with the station's linguistics AI, giving it every sound the creature had made and looking for deeper patterns and possible syntax. She had a guest around midnight. Bronson came in quietly with 2 cups of coffee. He gave her one and then sat down hard in the chair next to her. He said, "You should rest." "Can't. Not when I'm this close." They both watched the creature on the monitors. It was back in its corner, curled up and making those soft, throbbing sounds. Bronson said out of the blue, "I lost someone to a creature like this. My partner. We were learning about apex predators at Helix Station. One got away. He drank a lot of coffee. She died trying to keep it safe. She thought she could talk to it. For the last 15 years, I've made sure that no one else makes that mistake." Maya looked at him in a new way. "You think I'm making her mistake? I think you're very brave. Possibly too brave." He got up to leave, but then he stopped. "But I also think she might have been right. Maybe I've been too mad to see it." He pointed at the screen. "That thing is in pain no matter what it is. I can tell when someone is in pain. If you can show me that it's more than just instinct tomorrow, I'll support you. But you need proof beyond a doubt." Maya looked at the creature again with more determination after he left. "Okay," she said softly. "Let me see who you really are." She chose a different path. She would try pure empathy instead of patterns and analysis. She turned on the 2-way audio and just talked. She started with a soft voice through the speakers. "I don't know if you can understand words. But maybe you can understand how I feel. I know you're afraid. I know this place is wrong for you and that everything here is wrong." The head of the creature rose. "I want to help you. But I also need your help. You need to show them that you're more than what they think you are." Nothing happened for a long time. After that, the creature got up and slowly walked over to the glass. Not hostile. Just coming up. It put one huge claw against the barrier, right across from where Maya was sitting on the other side. Maya's heart raced as she put her hand on the glass to match its gesture. "I see you," she said softly. The thing made a noise, but it wasn't a roar or a thrum. A new thing. Maya heard something that sounded like a word, but she couldn't tell what language it was in. Then it did something that made Maya's blood run cold and warm at the same time. It opened its mouth and slowly and carefully pulled its teeth back into its gums. A sign of not being aggressive. A gesture that needed thought and control on purpose. A sign of trust. Maya turned on the recording equipment with her shaking hands. "Did you see that?" she asked into her phone. "Please tell me that someone recorded that." "We got it," Marcus said in a voice full of awe. "Maya, what the hell is that?" Someone who wants to live, she said. Half of the station's senior staff came to the presentation to Director Kovac the next day. Maya had put together everything: the audio analysis, the communication attempts, the behavioral patterns, and most importantly, the video of the trust gesture. This creature shows, Maya said, her voice steady even though she was nervous, complex emotional regulation, pattern recognition, intentional communication attempts, and most importantly, the ability to override its own defensive instincts in favor of a cooperative gesture. One scientist said, it could be manipulation. Some predators pretend to be submissive to get close to their prey. Why? Maya challenged. It's in a cell that can't be opened. Trusting me won't give you any tactical advantage. If anything, being open about your weaknesses makes us think it's weak and easy to get rid of. She pulled up the last piece of proof, a heat map that showed how the creature's brain worked during different interactions. These scans show activity in areas similar to the prefrontal cortex when we tried to talk to each other. That's the part of the brain that controls making decisions, showing personality, and interacting with others. This isn't a mindless predator. This is a person. There was a lot of arguing in the room. Some people agreed with her conclusions while others were still not convinced. Finally, Kovac put her hand up to ask for silence. Ms. Chen, what you're suggesting has serious consequences. If this creature is aware, we've basically taken a smart being hostage. That brings up legal and moral issues that we aren't prepared to deal with. Maya said, I know. That's why I'm suggesting we set up proper first contact rules. Understand its language. Ask it what it needs, where it came from, why it's here. And what if it wants to go? Kovac asked. If it wants revenge for being held captive. Maya stared straight at the director. Then we let it go. Because that's how you treat people, not specimens. The vote was close, but Maya won the right to stay alive. The creature, which is now known as Potential Sentient Entity 471, would be given time to try to communicate properly. But Maya's victory felt empty as she left the conference room. She had bought time but not knowledge. And in that cell, a scared, lonely person was waiting for her to cross a gap that might not be able to be crossed. When she got back to the observation room, the creature was watching the door as if it knew she would come. Maya promised through the glass, I'll learn your name. Even if it kills me. The thing touched the glass again. And this time, when it made its noise, Maya could have sworn it was trying to say her name. Part 4, Figuring Out the Soul. It was clear that containment cell 471 was changing, even if it happened slowly. Maya got things she had never thought possible when the termination order was lifted. A team of xenolinguists, advanced AI translation protocols, and most importantly, the ability to spend long periods of time in the observation room. On day 5, Maya was joined by Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the station's head xenolinguist. She was short and had sharp eyes. She had a great academic record in interspecies communication. As they listened to the audio files together, Yuki said, I've studied 47 different alien languages. But I'll be honest, this is unlike anything I've ever seen. The vocalizations work at more than one frequency level at the same time. People can only hear about 30% of what it's really saying. Maya leaned forward, full of excitement. Can we translate the rest? We can give it a shot. Yuki's fingers moved quickly across her tablet. I'm running the whole range through the quantum linguistics processor. It will find any patterns in grammar, syntax, or meaning. Maya kept watching directly while the AI worked. She had a routine now. She would go into the observation room every morning at 0600 and just be there. She would talk sometimes. She would sit quietly at times. The creature was always watching her. Something amazing happened on day 7. Maya was humming an old song her mother used to sing when the creature suddenly stopped moving. Then, slowly it started to hum as well. Not the same tune but a harmony. Perfect harmony. It has musical cognition, Maya said with a sigh. She turned on her communicator. Yuki, do you see this? Recording everything. Maya, this is amazing. To be good at music, you need to be able to process math, predict patterns, and express yourself creatively. We're looking at intelligence in the arts. In the days that followed, Maya and the creature began to talk to each other through music. She would sing simple tunes and it would respond with different notes, harmonies, and even what sounded like questions. Notes that rose and waited for her to answer. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected place. Lisa, the cybernetic arm handler who had been Maya's worst critic, came up to her in the cafeteria. She set down her tray and said, I owe you an apology. I thought you were gullible. Even dangerous. But I've been keeping an eye on the feeds. And that thing, it waits for you. At exactly 0600 every morning, It turns to face the door to the observation room. 10 minutes before you get there. Lisa's face softened. That's not acting like a predator. That's attachment. Maya felt a warm feeling spread through her chest. It knows I'll be back. It trusts routine. That's not enough. Lisa opened a video on her tablet. Look at this. This was taken at 0300 last night. The video showed the animal lying down. But every few minutes it would look up at the observation room and then go back to sleep. Waiting. Wishing. Lisa said softly, it misses you when you're not here. Whatever else it is, it can feel longing. You can't fake that. On the 11th day the AI translation finally worked. Yuki ran into the observation room, her eyes full of tears. We've got it. Maya, we have the framework. She pulled up a complicated diagram that showed wave patterns, frequency modulations, and semantic clusters. The thrums aren't just for keeping your emotions in check. They're just words. Words that are hard to understand. And the way they fit together is poetry. What does it mean? Yuki's voice shook as she read the translation. Song of home. Longing echo. Space of fear. Alone dark. She raised her head. Maya, it's not just talking. It's making art out of its pain. Maya's eyes were burning with tears. She touched the glass and the creature came right up to it and pressed against it. Can we talk back? Can we let it know that we get it? The AI can put together the frequency patterns. But Maya, Yuki thought for a moment. We have to be careful. What we say next will set the tone for the rest of this relationship. We're basically meeting a new species for the first time. Every word counts. They worked all night to make sure the message would be translated correctly. Finally, they were ready when the first light of dawn came through the station windows. Maya turned on the speakers. The voice that came out of the synthesizer didn't sound like a person. It thumped and resonated on many frequencies, making it sound strange and scary. We hear you. You are not alone. Safe space. Friend present. The creature's reaction was immediate and overwhelming. It made a sound Maya had never heard before, a rising, cascading series of tones that the translator rendered as joy, surprise, hope, question. It's asking if we're real, Yuki whispered, reading the translation. If this is true. Maya spoke into the microphone, letting the AI transform her words. True. Real. We learn your language. We want to understand. For the next hour, they engaged in the most profound conversation of Maya's life. The creature, who indicated its name was something the translator could only approximate as Velcora, shared fragments of its story. It had been exploring, curious seeking, then capture pain, fear alone dark, many cycles of terrified defensive, attack because attacked first. You were defending yourself, Maya said, the translated words thrumming through the speakers. Yes, truth. Not understand. Not speak. Only fear. We're sorry, Maya said, and she meant it with every fiber of her being. We didn't know. We thought you were just dangerous. Dangerous when afraid. All creatures dangerous when afraid. The simple wisdom of that statement hit Maya like a physical blow. Yuki was crying openly now. Over the next several days they learned more about Velcora. It came from a world called Cory's VA, a planet of bioluminescent forests and massive creatures that communicated through song. Its species were explorers, philosophers, artists. Velcora had been on a solo journey of discovery when it encountered the research team's ship. Why didn't you try to communicate before? Maya asked. Tried. You not here. Your language small. Mine too big. No overlap. Velcora's eyes dimmed sadly. Tried to show peaceful. You tranquilize. Tried to explain. You restrain. Fear grew. Defense grew. Circle of misunderstanding. But you never gave up trying, Maya said softly. Saw you. Different. Watched watching. Felt your feeling presence. The translation was imperfect, but the meaning was clear. You tried to understand. First one. So I tried again. Bronson, who had been observing from the monitoring station, entered the observation room. His face was grave. Maya, we need to talk. The station council wants to know what happens next. Next. You've proven it's sentient. That changes everything. We can't keep it imprisoned, but we can't just release an apex predator into populated space either. And he hesitated. There's talk of moving Velcora to a xenobiological research facility to study its species. Maya's blood ran cold. No, absolutely not. It's not a specimen to be studied. It's a person who was kidnapped. I agree, Bronson said, surprising her. But I don't make the final call. Director Kovac is waiting for your recommendation. Maya looked through the glass at Velcora, who was watching the exchange with obvious intelligence. She knew what she had to say even though it would break her heart. We ask Velcora what it wants. We respect it no matter what it says. Even if it means we never see each other again. There were a lot of people in the council chamber. There were not only station workers there but also people from the Galactic Coalition, xenobiologists from 3 different species, and even 2 human rights lawyers who had argued that Velcora should have the same rights as other intelligent beings. Maya stood at the podium ready to give her speech, but her heart was heavy. Over the past 2 weeks, she said, I've had the honor of talking to Velcora, a being we used to call Specimen 471. What I've learned has completely changed how I think about consciousness, communication, and what it means to be a person. She brought up a holographic screen that showed the logs of their conversations, the translated conversations, and the art that Velcora had shared. The Corisians, the species of Velcora, are peaceful explorers. They go on their own to learn more about the universe. They talk to each other using multi-frequency sound, which makes complicated symphonies of meaning that our languages can barely come close to. Above all else, they value knowledge, beauty, and connection. A person from the coalition raised her hand. Miss Chin, this is interesting, but it doesn't answer the main question. What do we do with this thing? Maya said firmly, that's exactly what I mean. We don't do anything to Velcora. We ask Velcora what they want for themselves. You respect other people's freedom, which is what you do with people. Someone yelled, it killed 2 people. Maya replied, in self-defense while scared and unable to talk. Wouldn't you fight to stay alive if you were drugged, tied up, and locked up by people whose language you couldn't understand? Those deaths are a tragedy, but they are our tragedy because we didn't see sentience when it showed up in a way we didn't expect. Director Kovac got up. Miss Chin is right. But we need to think about public safety. Even though they can talk to each other, Velcora is still very strong. What if there are more like it? What if this is a sign of an invasion? From a safe feed in the containment cell, Velcora made a sound that the translator turned into sad truth speak permission. Maya turned on the 2-way communication. Yes, Velcora. They can hear you. As Velcora's voice was translated, the room went quiet. My people don't invade. We walk alone looking for knowledge and beauty. I came to this area because of the Song of Stars, which is a cosmic pattern I wanted to understand. I found your ship instead. Curious approached. You scared caught. Why go alone? Someone asked. Why not come in peace groups? We are peace. Our way is alone. Groups that are together mean land, resources, and fighting. Being alone means being curious and learning. We get together, sing songs, and then go our separate ways. This is the truth about our culture. A xenobiologist leaned in. How many of your kind are there? Not known. We spread out among the stars. We meet up sometimes, sing about our journeys, and then go our separate ways. No counting. No rules. Only seeking freedom for oneself. The coalition representative looked worried. That makes it impossible to have formal diplomatic contact. How can we get along with a species that doesn't have a single government? Why need to set up? The question Velcora asked was simple but deep. You meet one of us, you show respect, and then you leave. That is a relationship. Not a treaty. Not an agreement. Being together in a nice way right now. Maya's throat felt tight. The philosophy was so beautiful and trusting, but it didn't fit with what people need for safety and structure. Dr. Tanaka got up. I'd like to ask Velcora a question directly. What do you want? What would you choose if we opened that cell right now? There was a lot of excitement in the silence that followed. Home, Velcora finally said. Want to go back to Corey's VA. Sing an apology to those I hurt. It wasn't meant to happen. Sing thanks to your Maya friend. Then keep going. There is still a lot of universe that hasn't been sung about. And what if you met other people? Kovac pushed. Would approach with care and patience. Would remember the lesson from Maya. Not everyone who seems dangerous is actually dangerous. Not everyone who looks different is an enemy. Would wait, try to talk, and have faith that they would eventually understand. Someone asked in disbelief, even after what we did to you? One group of people hurt another group. One person understood and helped. Both truths are true at the same time. I don't judge by species label. I judge by individual action. There was a lot of talking in the room. Some people said that it should be released right away. Some people wanted more study, more security, and more promises. The argument went on for hours. Finally, Kovac asked everyone to be quiet. We're going to vote. First, though, I want to hear from the person who started all of this. What do you think we should do, Maya? Maya had known this moment was coming, but she wasn't ready for how much it would hurt. We let Velcora go, she said softly. We give you a ship, supplies and information on how to get home. We will treat any injuries you get while you are in our care. And we are sorry, formally, officially sorry, for the harm we caused out of ignorance and fear. Kovac said softly, you won't see it again. I understand. Maya's voice broke. But keeping Velcora here, even if it was comfortable and with good intentions, would be another form of captivity. You don't do that to someone you love. You let them go even when it hurts. She saw Velcora watching her through the video feed with those bright amber eyes. Velcora sang softly, Maya friend. Deeply thankful. Sadness at parting. But respect comes from understanding. You give the best gift, freedom of choice. It was a close vote, 22 to 18, but it passed. Velcora would be free. The next 3 days were full of getting ready. A small research ship was stocked with supplies, changed to fit Velcora's body, and programmed with star charts for Corey's VA sector. The medical teams took care of Velcora's minor injuries from when he was first captured and held. Maya spent every free moment with Velcora, and their talks became more philosophical and deep. What will you tell your people about humans? She asked one night. Truth complex. People can be very afraid and hurtful. Also able to love and understand deeply. I met both kinds. You can remember both, but you should trust the second one more. Maya said, I'm not special. Wrong thinking, Velcora said softly. Everyone is special. You are special because you looked past fear and into curiosity. A lot of people can't. You could. That is a gift. Half of the station's crew met in the docking bay on the morning Velcora left. The creature stood in front of the small ship, looking smaller and more vulnerable now that it wasn't angry or scared like it had been at first. Maya walked up slowly. The walls were down for the first time since they met. They were only a few feet apart, with no glass, no restraints, and only trust between them. I'm going to miss you, Maya said, her voice breaking. Velcora bent down so that its head was level with hers. May come close gently? What is the human custom of embrace? Maya nodded and tears flowed freely. Velcora slowly and carefully wrapped its front legs around her in a way that looked like a hug. Even though the alien body had razor-sharp claws that were retracted, the gesture was clearly tender. You taught me, Velcora sang softly, that understanding knows no limits. Patience and an open heart can help you get over species, language, and fear. You gave me hope when I had none. I always have this gift with me. Will I ever see you again? Maya whispered in the creature's ear. Universe is big, but paths go around. Maybe one day. If not. Velcora gently pulled back and looked into her eyes. Then know that Velcora sings Maya song somewhere in the stars. Your kindness will always be with me on my journey. They stood there for a long time, human and alien, friend and friend, until Velcora finally stepped back and got on the ship. Maya watched through the observation window as the ship took off, her hand pressed against the glass one last time. The ship turned around and headed home. After that, it was gone, leaving only the stars. Bronson stood next to her. You did the right thing. Then why does it hurt so much? Because it was important. It wouldn't have been real if it didn't hurt. He stopped. The council wants to set up new rules based on what you've done. First contact procedures that put communication ahead of containment. They want you to be in charge of the program. Maya nodded slowly as she kept looking at the empty space where Velcora's ship had been. Okay. But only if... What is that? We changed the name of the program. Not creature containment. She turned to face him, and her sadness turned into determination. We call it what it should be, sentient relations. Because everyone should have the chance to be understood before they are judged. Maya hummed softly as she walked away from the window. It was a Corsican song that Velcora had taught her that roughly meant, hope continues forward. She knew that Velcora was singing too, even though space was so big. And even though the universe was dark, it seemed a little brighter because of their short, impossible friendship. 3 months after Velcora left, Maya stood in front of a full auditorium at the Coalition's Central Science Institute. 47 different worlds sent people to her talk, empathic first contact, lessons from the Velcora case. But as Maya clicked through slides showing the breakthrough in communication and the eventual release, she saw that people in the crowd were not convinced. One ambassador, a strict woman from the militant Draconis system, raised her hand sharply. Miss Chin, your work is great, but it's not useful. You spent weeks getting to know one creature and being able to talk to it. What do we do when we come across a species that is really hostile? When you don't have time for your empathy experiments? Maya knew this would happen. Ambassador, with all due respect, Velcora wasn't hostile. Velcora was scared. We made things worse by coming up with weapons and restraints instead of patience and curiosity. Easy to say when the thing didn't tear you apart, someone said. The doors to the auditorium burst open before Maya could say anything. Director Kovac walked in with a pale face and shaky hands holding a data pad. Maya, we need you to come back to the station. Right away. The room became quiet. What happened? Maya asked and her stomach dropped. We found something strange in Sector 47. Several ships have the same energy signature as Velcora's species. They're coming right at us. Kovac's voice was tense and tight. And they aren't the only ones. There are 12 of them. It took Maya 18 hours to get back to the station, which was the longest 18 hours of her life. Her mind was racing with scary ideas, each one worse than the last. Did Velcora send other people? Was this payback? A takeover? But inside the fear, a small voice told me to believe what I had learned. Believe what you know. The mood was tense when she got to the station. People were at their battle stations, weapon systems were online, and evacuation plans were in place. She could see them through the main viewport, 12 ships that looked elegant and like they belonged in nature, arranged in a way that looked almost like music. They've been sending messages for the last 6 hours, Bronson said with a frown. The frequency patterns are the same as those in Velcora's language, but we can't figure out what it means. The AI keeps messing up. Maya's heart raced. Let me hear it. She knew right away why the AI was having trouble when the transmission played. There weren't just one voice. There were 12 voices singing in perfect harmony to make a symphony that was almost too much to handle. Maya said, "They're not threatening us. They're singing." "What are they singing?" Kovac asked. Maya listened again and heard bits and pieces that fit with what she remembered from Velcora. I think they're saying hello. It's a song to say hello. A war chant, a soldier said darkly. No. Maya was now sure. Check out the formation. It's not a strategy. It's a ceremony. They are acting like separate people instead of a single group. She looked at Dr. Tanaka, who had joined them by video link. Yuki, can we make a reply? Something that says we mean no harm? I'll try, but Maya, what if you're wrong? What if this is dangerous? Maya thought about what Velcora had said. I judge by what each person does, not by what species they are. Then we'll take care of it. But I won't make the same mistake again. I won't meet people who might be friends with guns drawn. Maya sent a response message even though Kovac didn't want her to. They used Velcora's language as a guide to make a simple greeting. We are station home of Maya, friend to Velcora. We welcome people who sing. We want peace through understanding. The message was sent. There was silence for 10 long minutes. Then one by one the 12 ships started to move, changing their positions to make a new pattern. As they did, their song changed into something warm and happy. The translation said, Velcora can greet Maya, friend. We came looking for the truth of the story of the person who understood. Across the stars, Velcora sang your song. We had to meet the person who changed everything. Maya's eyes filled with tears. They came because of Velcora. Because of the things we did together. The lead ship asked to dock and a single Corisian came out. It was a little smaller than Velcora and had plates that were silver in color. It told the communication system that it was Threnalis, a distant cousin of Velcora. Velcora came back home different, Threnalis said through the translator, its voice a stream of harmonics. Sang of Maya, human who chose freedom over control and understanding over fear. We had to look into the song because it was so beautiful and unlike anything else. Is it really possible for people to be so wise? That question weighed on Maya. Some of us. Not everyone. We're learning. As are all species, Threnalis said kindly. We came with a proposal. Can we share? Threnalis made an incredible offer during the historic first contact negotiation that took place over the next few hours. The Corisians, who mostly traveled alone but sometimes got together to share what they knew, wanted to start a cultural exchange with humans. Not a treaty or a trade agreement, just an exchange of art, ideas, and understanding. Threnalis said, we teach you our songs. You tell us your stories. We learn how each other sees the universe. When we're ready, we leave again on our own journeys with new points of view that have made us better. What do you want in return? Kovac asked with suspicion. In exchange? Threnalis looked confused by the question. Sharing knowledge is not a transaction. Sharing knowledge is like giving a gift. Both give and get. This is how we do things. It was so strange to human economics and diplomacy that it took a few translations to make sure everyone understood. The Corisians didn't want land, money, or power. They wanted to connect. Maya left the negotiations to go to the observation deck because she needed some time alone. She looked out at the Corsican ships, which had bioluminescent hulls that pulsed in soft patterns. She sensed someone next to her and turned to see that Threnalis had come with her. The Corsican said, "You are grieving. Where's Velcora?" Maya nodded, but she couldn't say anything because of the lump in her throat. Threnalis said softly, "Velcora misses you too. But it is also happy. Your gift of freedom let Velcora find new songs and new things to be amazed by. Now, thanks to both of you, our species meets yours not as conquerors or conquered, but as equals looking for beauty." Maya said, "I just did what felt right." "That's right. That's why Velcora's song about you touches you so deeply. You didn't do the right thing because of rules or rewards. You did the right thing because your heart knew the truth. Every living thing deserves respect, understanding, and compassion." Threnalis stopped for a moment and then sang a line in Corsican that wasn't translated. "What's that supposed to mean?" Maya asked. Closest translation: one small act of kindness sends out infinite echoes. You were nice to a traveler who was scared. 12 ships sing about being friends now. Maybe 1200 years from now. Your empathy spreads out, changing the universe one connection at a time. Maya felt like it was too much for her. What if I had been wrong? What if Velcora had been a threat? Then you would have known that too. But you weren't wrong because you really listened and saw deeply. This is a gift that you may not know about, the ability to change your mind, admit when you're wrong, and choose kindness over consistency. Not every person has that gift. Yes, Threnalis said. But you do. And you can teach other people. Is this your journey now? Teaching your kind to see like you do? Maya thought about the new sentient relations program, the protocols being made based on her work, and all the first contacts in the future that might go differently because of what Velcora had taught her. "Yes," she said with confidence. "That's exactly what I've been through." The cultural exchange started in the weeks that followed. Corsians and humans worked together and shared music, math, philosophy, and art. The station changed from a place of holding people to a place of celebration. Lisa, the handler who had once looked down on Maya's methods, became one of the most excited participants. She and a Corsican named Vexthera made a sculpture together that used both human welding and Corsican sonic shaping. Lisa said to Maya over dinner, "I understand now. From the start what you saw in Velcora. They're not that different from us. They feel, they want, and they make. I missed everything that mattered because I was so focused on the claws and teeth." Maya said, "You're seeing it now. That's what matters." But not everyone liked the changes. Ambassador Crix from Draconis sent a formal complaint to the coalition, saying that Maya's plan was too hopeful and would end in disaster. "You've been lucky," he said to her in a tense meeting. "But luck doesn't last. What do you do when you come across a species that really is hostile? When caring about others gets you killed?" "Then I'll die knowing I tried," Maya said in a low voice. "But Ambassador, I'd rather die trying to understand than live with the guilt of having ruined something beautiful out of fear." Crix shook his head in disgust and walked away. Threnalis found Maya in the observation room that night, looking at the stars. The Corsican asked softly, "Are you having doubts? What if he's right? What if I'm putting people in danger by telling them to trust first and then defend?" Threnalis sat down next to her. Its huge body was somehow comforting instead of scary. "Maya friend, my people say, the universe has both poets and predators. Before drawing claws, the wise person learns which is which. You are not teaching weakness, you are teaching wisdom. How did your people get that wisdom? By making mistakes. By losing. Corsians used to be more aggressive and protective of their land. But we found out that fighting over resources made us poor, while sharing knowledge made us rich. We learned, but it took thousands of years." In the dark, Threnalis's eyes glowed softly. "Your kind is still young. You still think about survival, competition, and lack of resources. But there are people like you who can see beyond. These people plant seeds. Seeds grow into trees. Give it time." Even though she was worried, Maya smiled. "You're very patient. We live for a long time and go a long way. Patience is a virtue that everyone should have." Threnalis stood up and got ready to go. "One more thing. If we met you, Velcora asked us to tell you something." Maya's heart raced. "What message?" Threnalis sang a line in Corsican that wasn't translated. The sounds were like a wave of warmth, light, and home that washed over Maya. She asked, "What does it mean?" But she felt like she already knew. "Thank you for seeing me when I couldn't see myself. Our song will never stop." Maya stayed in the observation room long after Threnalis had left. She hummed the tune Velcora had taught her, feeling the echo of a connection that crossed light years and species. The universe was big and dark a lot of the time. But tonight it sang. 6 months into the Corisian Human Cultural Exchange, the Coalition Council called Maya in for an emergency meeting. When she walked into the chambers, she saw the sad faces of the delegates who were there. "There's a problem," Coalition Director Hardhack said right away. He was a Vexian, a type of person known for being smart and good at fighting. "We've come across another kind of life in the neutral territories. Early reports say they are aggressive and maybe even hostile." Maya's stomach got tight. "What happened?" 3 days ago the Endeavor, a survey ship, made contact. "We call the new species the Shikstar and they attacked for no reason. 12 hours ago we lost touch with the Endeavor. Long-range scans show that the ship is drifting, and it's not clear if there are any people on board." There were whispers in the room. Hardhacks held up a hand to ask for silence. "Miss Chin, your rules stress the importance of talking to each other and understanding. But what should we do if the other side doesn't want to talk? When they shoot first and don't ask questions?" His eyes were tough. "This is why a lot of us didn't like your methods. In the real world, being empathetic can get you killed." Everyone was looking at Maya. This was the moment she had been dreading, the test of whether her ideas could stand up to real hostility. "What do we know about the Shikstar?" she asked in a careful voice. A xenobiologist brought up holographic information. "Not much. Biology of insects, advanced technology, and a social structure based on hives. As soon as the Endeavor entered their territory, their ship fired on it." "That land of theirs?" Maya grabbed the word. "So the Endeavor went into their space?" Hardhack said, "Coalition mapping called it neutral space." "By coalition mapping," Maya said again. "Did anyone check with the Shikstar to see if they agreed with that name?" A tense silence fell. "Are you saying this was a fight over land?" a delegate asked with doubt. "I think we don't have enough information to make any decisions. It could be aggression or defense when someone attacks. We need to learn more before we react." Hardhacks pushed, "The crew of the Endeavor may be dying while we talk. Every second we wait could cost lives." Maya took a big breath. "Then let me go. Let me try to get in touch. If I fail and they really are hostile beyond reason, then you can use military options. But let me have a shot." "No way," Kovacs said. "Maya, you are too important to put at risk. Let's send a team of trained diplomats." "No." Maya's voice was strong. "This is exactly what I've been saying all along. I can't ask other people to do things that I'm not willing to do myself. If my methods work, they have to work here in the most difficult case. They don't work at all otherwise." The argument went on for hours, but in the end Maya got the go-ahead, but only on strict terms. She would use a small, heavily armored ship. A security team would be with her. And if something went wrong, the coalition fleet would be ready to get her out. Threnalis was adamant about coming too. "You taught us that people can change," the Corisian said. "Now I find out if Corisians can be brave like Maya friend." They left within hours, heading toward the coordinates where the Endeavor had last sent a signal. Maya saw it as they got closer. The survey ship, which was leaning badly and had holes in its hull in several places. "Are there any signs of life?" she asked the pilot. "Faint. Only for emergency life support. They're alive but not for long." "And the ship from Shikstar?" "Still there. Staying 50 kilometers away from the Endeavor. They're keeping an eye on it." "Why not finish it?" Threnalis wondered out loud. Maya's mind was racing. "Because they don't want to die. The Endeavor would already be gone if they did. They turned it off and then stopped." She bent down. "Make a channel. All frequencies." "Maya, do it." The comm came to life with a crackle. Maya spoke clearly and slowly. "Shikstar ship, this is Maya Chen from the Galactic Coalition. We don't want to hurt anyone. We think there has been a mix-up. Please let's talk. Be quiet." Then there was a response, but it wasn't in any language the translators knew. Maya's teeth hurt from a series of clicks, buzzes, and low-frequency thumps. The pilot said, "I can't translate this," in anger. But Threnalis moved closer to the speaker and listened carefully. "It's not language like yours or mine. It is chemical communication that has been turned into sound. They communicate using sense signals, right? Sound is an approximation. Do you get it? Parts. They say, 'Go ahead and trespass.' They say, 'Warning ignored.' They say, 'Defend nest.'" Maya's heart raced. They're protecting their home. The Endeavor didn't just go into their territory, it went into their nesting grounds. She grabbed the comm again. "Shikstar ship, we understand. Protecting the nest. Protect young. We respect this. We messed up. Unintentional trespass. We want to leave in peace and take our hurt. No more interference. Do you get it? Another long pause. Then there was a different pattern of sounds. Threnalis translated slowly. They want to know how you know the nest concept. What do you mean by protect young? Maya thought quickly. Because all animals look out for their young. All kinds of animals protect their homes. This is a universal truth. We are different kinds of people, but we all understand this. The answer came right away and was longer than expected. Threnalis had a hard time keeping up. They say a lot of different species come to their space. All kinds of species attack or ask for things. No one asks. No one gets it. They thought that all people who travel through space are predators. Because they have to. Not all of them are predators, Maya said softly. Some of us just want to know. To learn. To get along with your neighbors. Another break. Then the translator finally got one word, prove. How? Maya wanted to know. There was both sound and action that gave the answer. The Shikstar ship moved out of the way, making a clear path to the Endeavor. Threnalis said, they let the rescue ship through. Trust test. They could attack you when you're weak. Do you trust that they won't? Maya knew that this was the most important moment. If she showed fear, sent in armed guards, or came with weapons ready, the weak link would break. Take us in, she said to the pilot. Take down the shields. Weapons are not working. That's killing yourself. No, Maya said with confidence. That's trust. As their ship sailed toward the Endeavor, it passed within a few meters of the Shikstar ship. Maya could see them through the viewports, bug-like creatures with compound eyes that followed her ship's movement. One of their weapons could have killed her in seconds. They didn't shoot. Instead, the Shikstar ship did something unexpected while Maya's crew boarded the Endeavor and started to evacuate the injured. It reached out with mechanical arms and started to help by stabilizing the damaged hull, giving power to life support, and even carefully moving debris. They help rescue, Threnalis said, their voice full of wonder. They choose to work together. Maya opened the channel one last time after all of the Endeavor's crew had safely boarded her ship. Thanks, Shikstar friends. You could have used force, but you chose to show mercy. This will stay in people's minds. The answer was short but warm. You showed trust when others showed weapons. This is also not forgotten. As they left Shikstar space, Maya saw the insectoid ship go back to its patrol pattern. It wasn't an attacker, it was a protector. When she got back to the Coalition Council, everyone was speechless. At last Hardhack spoke. Are you saying that the whole thing was a defensive reaction to us getting into their breeding area? Yes. They have kids in that area. An unknown ship coming toward them was a threat to their kids. They turned it off to keep their nest safe, but they didn't break it because they're not really aggressive, they're just protective. And they helped with the rescue? Yes, once they knew we weren't a threat. They even said they were sorry for the damage they did through Threnalis. They thought they had no other option. A representative from the Human Commonwealth stood up. I've been one of your most vocal critics, Ms. Chin. I've said that your methods were dangerously simple. But today, she stopped for a moment to get herself together. Today you showed that even in the most hostile situation, there is room for understanding. You didn't save lives by using force. You saved lives by being brave enough to be weak. Hardhacks nodded slowly. I guess I should say I'm sorry too. The Shikstar have now agreed to talk formally about the borders of their land. They've even said they want to trade. All because you chose to listen instead of shoot. Maya felt a wave of relief wash over her, but she also felt the weight of her duty. She said honestly, this won't always work. One day we will meet a species that is really hostile and can't communicate. But shouldn't we at least give understanding a shot? Shouldn't that be our default? Violence should be the last resort, not the first. There was a lot of talk in the room, but this time most of the voices were positive. Later, while Maya and Threnalis were on the observation deck looking at the stars, the Corisian spoke slowly. You faced your biggest challenge today. You might have been wrong. Shikstar might have killed you. I know, Maya said. I was scared. But you still chose to trust. This is real bravery, not being afraid but doing the right thing anyway. The plates on Threnalis's table glowed with warm colors. Velcora would be proud. You are now everything they saw in you from the start. Maya smiled as she thought about her friend who was somewhere in the universe. I just hope I can keep doing that. Yes, you will, Threnalis said with confidence. Because you know the basic truth. There is room for all of us in the universe. We don't have to be enemies. We have the option of being neighbors. Maya felt both small and hopeful as she looked out at the endless stars. Each one could be home to new species, minds, and souls that needed to be understood. The work would never be finished. But it was work that needed to be done. One link at a time. The coalition quickly learned about the Shikstar incident. Maya was suddenly in the spotlight. Some people loved her while others hated her, but no one could ignore her. Her way of making first contact was no longer just a fringe idea. It was becoming the official policy. The Sentient Relations Department went from being a small group of Mayas to a full division with people from a dozen different species. Many worlds started to have training programs. Young diplomats learned to listen before they spoke, to watch before they made a decision, and to try to understand before they thought they were in danger. But success brought new problems. 8 months after the Shikstar contact, Maya got a coded message on a frequency she hadn't used in more than a year. She stopped breathing when she saw the source identifier. Velcora. The message was short and read, "Maya friend, in the quantum linguistics system. Need help right away. Can't explain with distance words. I hope you come. Attached are the coordinates. Please, desperate." Maya's hands shook as she looked at the screen. Velcora had never needed help before. The Corisians were nomads who could take care of themselves and valued freedom above all else. When Velcora asked for help, it meant that something was very wrong. She went straight to Director Kovac. "Absolutely not," Kovac said right after reading the message. "It might be a trap. We don't know who sent this or why they did. It's Velcora. I know how they talk to each other. You believe it's Velcora? It might be someone who caught them and made them lure you in." Kovac's face softened a little. "I get why you care about that creature, Maya. Velcora is not a being. They're a person and they're in trouble. Then send a group. You can send a whole fleet if you want. But you shouldn't go into an unknown situation based on a message that isn't clear." Maya took a deep breath to calm down her anger. "Director, with all due respect, Velcora wouldn't trust anyone else. They might not even get in touch if I send strangers. And if this is real, if my friend really needs me, I can't leave them. Not after all that." The argument lasted for hours, but in the end, Maya got what she wanted. She could leave, but only with a heavily armed escort and only after drones confirmed that the coordinates were safe. The coordinates took us to a system that was far away and on the edge of mapped space. When Maya's ship got closer, the drones picked up something strange. A lot of life signs but no ships or stations, just a small group of asteroids. "There," the pilot said, pointing to a specific asteroid. "That's where the signal came from." Maya saw something that made her heart race as they got closer. The asteroid wasn't natural. It had been carved, shaped, and changed into something that looked a lot like a nest. Bioluminescent markers were all over its surface in patterns that made Maya think of Corisian art. The sensor operator said, "I'm picking up 4 Corisian life signs. And, one more thing. A lot of somethings. Unknown biology. Are they in danger?" Maya asked in a hurry. "Not known. But the Corisian life signs are weak. Very weak. Take us down there." Now, the landing was hard because the asteroid's gravity was uneven and the makeshift landing pad was too small. When the airlock opened, Maya was hit by a wave of smells that were both familiar from her time with Velcora and completely new to her. Threnalis, who had once again insisted on going with her, took a deep breath. Smell fear scent. Smell pain. But also, smell the scent of hope? Weird mix. They went through a carved tunnel into the inside of the asteroid with the security team on either side of them, guns ready. The passage led to a big room and what Maya saw there made her stop in her tracks. It was hard to tell who Velcora was. The beautiful creature that used to be 12 feet tall was now curled up against the wall, with dull, cracked plates and dim eyes. But they weren't by themselves. There were dozens of little creatures around Velcora. They were about the size of human children and had plate structures like those of humans, but they came in a range of colors from deep blue to bright green. They huddled close to Velcora and made soft, sad noises. "Kids," Maya said softly. "They're kids." When she spoke, Velcora's eyes lit up a little. "Maya friend. You came. I knew you would. The only one I could trust." Maya ran up and knelt down next to her friend. "What happened? Why didn't you go home?" "Did go home," Velcora said weakly. "Found these ones that were left behind. Yes, different species. Found them dead on a dead world. Couldn't go. Not like me. Brought them here and tried to take care of them. But, a breath that made me shudder. Their biology is too different. Tried to make the food they need. Not successful. They get weaker. I get weaker when I try to support them with my own resources." Maya's medical scanner confirmed what was horrible. Velcora had been keeping the kids alive by literally feeding them from their own life force. Both of them were dying from the process. "Why didn't you ask for help sooner?" Maya yelled, her voice breaking. The Corisian way is to be self-sufficient. Asking for help means admitting that you failed. Their eyes met. But seeing them die slowly, knowing I couldn't save them by myself, that would be a bigger failure. So I called only one person who understands. Someone who doesn't see people as threats or resources, but as souls that need care. One of the kids, a little creature with emerald green plates, crawled closer to Maya and made a sound that was somewhere between a chirp and a whimper. Maya could see how thin it was up close and how its eyes, which were rounder than Velcora's, were clouded with hunger and fear. What kind of animals are they? Threnalis asked, looking at the kids. I don't know, Velcora said. Couldn't find any records. Their world was destroyed, maybe by war or a natural disaster. Only these people lived. I tried to learn their language, but they are too young to talk about complicated things. Just know that they are scared and hungry. Maya's thoughts raced. We need to get everyone to the station. Our medical facilities can make food based on the biochemistry of the people who need it. We can save them. But when the security team came to help, the kids freaked out. They ran away, hiding behind Velcora and crying out in fear. Even though they were weak, some of them had small spikes coming out of their backs that were meant to protect them. They only trust Velcora, Threnalis said. Everyone else is a threat to them. Maya said firmly, then Velcora comes with us. We all travel together. Tell them it's safe, Velcora. Can try. But Maya, my friend. Velcora's voice got quieter. I'm failing. May not make it through the trip. Maya said, you will survive, with a fierce look on her face. Because these kids need you, and I didn't come all this way to lose you now. Over the next few hours, they carefully moved Velcora and the kids to the ship. It was hard work because the kids were scared of the security team. They were only calm when Maya was there and Velcora's reassuring thrums. Maya worked with the medical team to look at the children's biochemistry on the way back to the station. What they found was both interesting and sad. The doctor said, they're made of silicon, not carbon. Completely different nutritional needs than anything we've seen before. It's no surprise that Velcora couldn't keep them going. It's like trying to power a machine with the wrong power source. Can we make what they need? We think so. But Maya, the doctor thought for a moment. These kids haven't eaten in weeks. Some of them might not get better even if they eat well. The damage might be too bad. Maya looked out the window at the little animals that were gathered around Velcora's body, which was still. The brave emerald green child looked back at her with eyes full of desperate hope. Maya said, we save everyone we can. And we honor those we can't by making sure their sacrifice was worth it. The station got ready like never before. The medical bay was turned into units for specialized care. Xenobiologists from 3 different species worked all day and night to make nutrients that were based on silicon. And Maya stayed close to the kids, learning their body language and sounds and slowly gaining their trust. Velcora was still in critical condition. Their body was weak from months of sharing their life force with beings they didn't really understand. On the 3rd day, Maya's emerald green child finally took food from a human hand. She had been calling her Jade, even though she knew it was anthropomorphizing. Maya cried as she watched the little creature eat. Their eyes got brighter and their plates got shinier. The kids got better one at a time. Not all of them, 3 were too far gone and died peacefully in their sleep no matter what they did. But 14 lived and they got stronger every day. And Velcora started to get better too, slowly. It took Velcora 2 weeks to get strong enough to talk after the rescue. Maya sat next to their recovery pod and held what was left of the Corisian's hand. Maya said, you almost died, trying to keep her voice calm. Why? Why put everything on the line for kids of a species you didn't even know? Because they were kids, Velcora said simply. Because they were alone and scared and I couldn't leave them. You couldn't leave me alone and scared in a containment cell, just like you couldn't leave me. That's not the same, is it? You put your career and maybe even your life on the line to learn more about a creature that everyone said was a monster. I put my body on the line to care for kids that everyone else had left behind. We are the same, my friend. We see beings in trouble and we have to help. This is who we are. Maya couldn't say anything against that. As the kids got better, a new question came up. What to do with them in the long run? Their world was gone, and it seemed that their species was extinct except for these 14 people. The coalition suggested a number of solutions such as adoption programs, specialized colonies, and joining existing communities. But Jade, the child with the emerald green eyes, had the answer. She had learned the basics of communication by putting together sounds from Corisian, human, and her own language to make a new pidgin. One night, while Maya was sitting with her, Jade pointed at Velcora, then at the other kids and then at Maya. Family, she said carefully, as if she had never heard the word before. We're family. Maya's throat got tight. What do you mean, honey? Jade stood next to a smaller child in a protective way, just like Velcora had done for all of them. Then she pointed at Maya, Threnalis, and the medical staff. All family. Different but the same. Together. Maya understood right then and there. There was no need to put these kids somewhere. They didn't need anything to take the place of what they had lost. They needed something different. A family with people of many different species that was based on choice, care, and love instead of biology. Velcora, Maya said that night, what if they stayed with us? With you? We could make a home for them here at the station. A place where people of different species choose to be family. You would do this? Velcora asked. Spend time, money, and care on 14 orphans of unknown species? Maya said, we already have. And also, she looked at Jade, who was humming a lullaby that Velcora had taught her to a younger child. They're not unknown anymore. They belong to us. Velcora's eyes shone with what looked like happiness. Getting the council's approval was surprisingly simple. The station staff were given the job of taking care of the orphans of unknown origin, as they were officially called. They built a special wing with environments that were good for their silicon-based biology. Velcora became their main caregiver, but many volunteers from different species helped out. And Maya saw something beautiful happen. Proof that love knows no boundaries, that family goes beyond biology, and that the strongest bonds often form in the most unexpected ways. 3 months after the rescue, Maya stood in the observation room one night and watched Velcora and the kids play. It was a chaotic, happy scene of roughhousing between different species. Jade saw her and ran over, pushing her small body against the glass. Mama Maya, she yelled, using the name she had given Maya weeks before. Come play. Maya's heart broke. Sweetheart, I'll be right there. Threnalis stopped her as she was about to leave. The Corisian asked, do you know what you did? Made things a logistical nightmare? Maya made a joke. No. You have made the first family unit with more than one species in coalition history. You have shown that diversity is something to be celebrated, not just accepted. You have shown that care knows no bounds. Threnalis pointed at the kids who were playing. This will be studied for many years to come. This will change everything. Maya looked back at her strange family, a Corisian, 14 silicon-based orphans, and herself, a human who used to work as a data entry specialist. Good, she said in a soft voice. The universe could use more change. 5 years later, Maya stood at the podium of the newly built Galactic Center for Sentient Relations, looking out at an audience that would have been impossible to imagine when she was first put in charge of keeping creatures in check. There were people, Corisians, Shixtar, Vexians, and more than 30 other species in the auditorium. 14 of them were young beings whose species had not yet been given an official name, but everyone called them Velcora's children. The center was an amazing piece of architecture that could support life forms that breathe methane, carbon, or silicon. It was a physical proof of what working together and understanding each other could do. Maya had been asked to speak at the dedication ceremony today. 5 years ago, she said, her voice steady even though she was nervous, I was a data entry specialist who was mistakenly assigned to contain what we thought was a dangerous predator. That mistake changed my life and eventually, it changed all of us. She pointed to Velcora, who stood proudly in the crowd with their plates fully healed and shining with health. Jade, who was almost an adult by now, waved happily next to them. Velcora taught me that fear often hides weakness, that aggression can be a cry for help, and that the most different people can be the most similar in spirit. I've learned those lessons over and over since then. Images flashed on the screen behind her, the Shixtar now trading peacefully with the Coalition, the 14 species that had joined the galactic community using the new empathy-first protocols, and the countless lives saved by choosing understanding over violence. But I didn't do this alone. Everyone in this room helped make this vision a reality. The scientists who came up with better ways to translate languages. The diplomats who put their lives on the line to reach out to new species. The teachers who teach all of our children, regardless of species, that differences are something to celebrate, not be afraid of. She stopped and looked straight at a part of the audience where a group of young students from 7 different species were sitting. They were all in the center's first contact training program. To the next generation, you get a universe that is still big, still mysterious, and sometimes dangerous. But you also get 5 years of proof that empathy works, that patience saves lives, and that being brave enough to be vulnerable often gets you what weapons can't. A hand went up in the audience. It was a young woman, no older than Maya had been when this all started. Yes. Miss Chin, some people still say your methods are too risky and that we should put safety ahead of understanding. What do you say to that? Maya smiled. I respond by pointing to this room. Look around you. 5 years ago, half the species here didn't know each other and some were even enemies. Now you all sit together, work together, and learn from each other. Yes, my methods involve risk, but so do isolation, fear, and preemptive violence. The risk of never knowing what we could have learned. The risk of destroying something beautiful before we even recognize it. An old Shikstar stood up, and their mandibles clicked in a sign of respect for their kind. Speaker Chin, you saved my High family when others would have destroyed us. On behalf of all Shikstar, we thank you deeply. You gave us a chance to be understood. More beings stood up, a stream of different kinds, each thanking in their own way. Maya was too emotional to handle it. When the official ceremony was over, Maya was surrounded by people who wished her well. But she was able to sneak away to a quiet part of the center, a small garden made to meet the needs of many different types of beings so they could sit together comfortably. Velcora found her there, just as she had known they would. The Corisian asked, tired of celebrating? As he sat down next to her with ease. I just needed a minute. It's a lot. You have the right to be overwhelmed. You changed the universe, Maya friend. Maya said, we changed it. You showed me what was possible first. Maybe we showed each other. They sat quietly for a while watching a group of kids play nearby. Jade was teaching a young Shikstar and 2 human kids a game that looked like it involved a lot of jumping and laughing. Maya said, they don't even see the differences. They're just friends to them. Because they learn from a young age that all beings deserve respect, understanding, and compassion. They don't have to unlearn the fear that our generation has passed down. Do you ever wish you hadn't done it? Maya asked out of the blue. That day in containment? The pain, the fear, the loss of freedom? Velcora thought about this a lot. I regret the suffering, yes, but not the journey. Pain taught me about resilience. Fear taught me about courage. And you taught me that even in the darkest moment, hope exists if one has the wisdom to see it. Their eyes glowed with warmth. Besides, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have found my kids, you, or a reason to stop wandering. You found a reason? Yes. My species values the journey of each person and their own discovery. I've learned that connections are more important than being alone, that family can be chosen, and that teaching the next generation is a worthy goal. Velcora pointed to the kids playing. I was a wanderer. Now I am, what do you call it in human? Maya said, home. You've become their home. As you have become mine. Maya's eyes were starting to tear up. I still have that recording. It was from the first day when you were so scared and I had no idea what I was doing. I listen to it sometimes to remember how far we've come. Maybe someday historians will listen too. They will look into how fear turned into friendship and misunderstanding turned into respect. Maya said, I hope they also look at the mistakes. The people we lost before we learned better. The species we probably met over the years but didn't realize were sentient because we weren't looking closely enough. I hope they remember that this progress came at a cost. Yes, they will. Because you will teach them to remember. This is your gift, Maya friend. You not only act with empathy, but you also inspire others to do the same. That night, Maya gave one more speech, this time to the first group of sentient relations specialists who were graduating. 20 students from 12 different species had all learned the rules that came out of Maya's work. You are about to go out into the universe and meet beings we haven't even imagined yet. Some will be peaceful, some will be scared, and some may even be hostile. Your job is not to control, classify, or contain them. Your job is to understand them. A student from Corey's raised a talon. But what if we fail? What if empathy doesn't work? Then you try again but in a different way. You change. You learn. The only real failure is not trying at all. Maya pulled up a picture of Velcora from that first day. It was huge, scary, and obviously dangerous. Then she showed Velcora now with kids all around her, teaching, caring for them, and being peaceful. This is the same being. The only thing that changed was our willingness to look deeper. Every being you meet has depths you can't see right away. Your job is to dive deep enough to find them. Another student, a human, asked with some hesitation, Are you ever scared? Even now. Every single time, Maya said. But I've learned that fear and courage aren't opposites. Courage is what you do with your fear. You can let it control you or you can acknowledge it and act anyway. Choose the second option. Always choose to reach out even when your hands shake. As the students left, excited and nervous about their upcoming work, Director Kovac went up to Maya. You know, I almost fixed that clerical error that put you in charge of containment when I first saw it, she said. Thought it was clearly a mistake. Maya laughed and said, "It was a mistake. No. It was the best accident in coalition history." Kovac's face got serious. The council wants to make this program galactic. They want centers like this on every major station, the Central Relations Department to be a main branch of government instead of just an advisory board, and they want you to run it. Maya's stomach dropped. "Director, I'm not a politician. I'm just the person who changed the way we interact with other species. Just the person who stopped at least 3 wars by being kind. Just the person who made the first family of people from different species and showed that love is stronger than biology." Kovac smiled. "You don't have to make a choice right now. Take your time." That night, Maya went back to the containment wing where she couldn't sleep. It is still kept as a historical site just like it was back then. She stood in front of the cell where she had first met Velcora, remembering how scared, confused, and desperate she had been to understand. "Still going to the crime scene?" Bronson's voice came from behind her. He was no longer on active duty, but he still worked as a consultant for the center. "Just thinking back to where it all began." Bronson stood next to her and looked into the empty cell. "You know what I remember? I remember thinking you were going to die. I thought your kindness was weakness and your empathy was stupidity. You thought I was dumb. I thought you were wrong, but I was wrong." He turned to look at her. "My partner, the one who died at Helix Station? She would have loved this. She would have loved seeing her vision come true. You did what she tried to do, but you succeeded. You showed that understanding is stronger than force. I'm sorry you lost her. I'm sorry I was angry for 15 years instead of carrying on her work. But you did carry it on. You honored her vision without even knowing it existed." His voice got rough with emotion. "So thank you for showing that believing in good people isn't stupid, it's smart." Maya was alone with her thoughts after he left. The council's offer was tempting. It would let me spread this work across the whole galaxy, touch many lives, and make sure that what happened with Velcora became the norm instead of an unusual exception. But it also meant giving up the hands-on work she loved. Leaving the center that she had helped build. She was leaving Velcora and the kids who had become her family. She was still having trouble making up her mind when she saw someone she knew next to her. "Can't sleep?" Velcora asked. "Too much thought. About the council offer? How did you?" "News spreads quickly. And I know you, my friend. I know you see a chance to help a lot of people and can't easily say no. But I would have to go. Leave you. Leave the kids. Would you?" Velcora got comfortable. "Or would you be broadening the meaning of here? Wouldn't you make the whole galaxy your home like I did when I wandered the universe? That's different. You went on your own. I would be leaving my family behind. Family is not a place. Family is a bond that goes beyond distance." Velcora's eyes glowed softly. "You taught me the most important thing. Sometimes love means letting go. You let me go when you could have kept me close. You trusted me to come back and I did. Now I trust you to keep going on your journey, knowing that our bond is strong no matter how far apart we are. What about the kids? They need you. They need a lot of teachers and examples. I give them one, the importance of patience and understanding between species. But they also need to see that chosen family lasts even when you can't be there all the time. Just because you leave to help the galaxy doesn't mean you stop being their Mama Maya. It means you show them that love lasts forever." Maya leaned against her friend's big body. "When did you become so smart?" "I learned from the best teacher," Velcora said in a warm voice. The next day, Maya agreed to what the council had offered. Her work spread all over the galaxy. She went to faraway systems, set up new centers, and trained thousands of diplomats and first contact specialists. She met species that made her question everything she thought she knew and situations that put all of her rules to the test. But she stayed in touch with her family through everything. Holographic calls with Velcora and the kids. Messages sent across light years. And sometimes she would go home where she was always happy to see her family. The galaxy changed, but it took a long time. There were no wars. There was peace. Species that had been alone for thousands of years joined the galactic community. And at the heart of it all was a simple idea. See the person, not the surface. Hear the soul, not the roar. Always choose understanding first. 20 years after they first met in containment, Maya stood in front of an audience again. This time, it was the biggest crowd in the history of the galaxy. The first Universal Summit, where more than 200 intelligent species met to sign the Compact of Mutual Understanding. She thought of a scared animal in a cage and a data entry worker who had accidentally gotten into the most important relationship of her life as she looked out at the impossible variety of people who had chosen peace over conflict and cooperation over isolation. We stand today, she said, her voice carrying to beings across dozens of worlds, not because we're the same but because we've learned to celebrate our differences. We've learned that the stranger across the void might be the friend we didn't know we needed, that the being who frightens us might be frightened themselves. That the universe is vast enough for all of us, if we choose to see abundance rather than scarcity. In the audience, now an elder surrounded by their many grown children, Velcora sang a harmony to her words. This was a Parisian tradition that had grown over the years called singing truth together. 20 years ago, a mistake in my paperwork changed my life. Today I'm thankful for that mistake because it taught me the most important truth of life. We are all connected no matter what species we are, how far apart we are, or what differences we have. When we choose to honor those connections, when we choose empathy over fear, understanding over assumption and love over isolation, that's when we become who we were always meant to be. She stopped and looked straight into the camera that sent her picture across the galaxy. We all become family. Together. Maya felt a deep sense of completion when the compact was signed and 200 species agreed to the values of empathy, respect, and understanding. She had been a data entry specialist, but she had been given the wrong job and had to deal with a monster. Instead, she made a friend, started a family, and helped bring the galaxy together. And it all began with one simple choice: to look beyond the surface, to believe in the power of connection, and to think that empathy could bring people together. As the party went on, Jade, who was now a well-known xenoanthropologist, found Maya on a quiet balcony. "Mama Maya," she said, using the name she had always called her. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if you hadn't been put in charge of Velcora's containment?" Maya thought about this. Someone else would have been. And maybe they would have found another way forward. Or maybe... She stopped talking. "Maybe Velcora would have died," Jade said softly to end. "Maybe my siblings and I would have died. Maybe the Shikstar would have stayed enemies. Maybe hundreds of species would never have joined the coalition." Maya said softly, "We can't know. All we know is what happened. A mistake turned into a miracle, fear turned into friendship, and one connection spread out to touch billions of lives. Do you think this peace and understanding will last?" Maya looked up at the stars, each one a possible home for a creature they hadn't met yet. "Not if we take it for granted. Peace is like a garden that needs to be cared for all the time. Each generation must choose it again. Then we'll pick it," Jade said with confidence. "People from my generation and the next and the one after that will remember what you and Velcora taught us, that the universe is big enough for all of us if we're brave enough to care." Maya smiled as she thought of a scared animal in a cage and a human who had chosen kindness over rules. "Yes," she said in a soft voice. "If we care enough to be brave." The stars above them shone forever, and somewhere among them, countless beings lived their lives. Some alone, some together, all part of the beautiful, complicated tapestry of existence. And at that moment, Maya Chin, who had once worked as a data entry clerk and was now the architect of galactic peace, felt the deep truth that had guided her all along. We are never really by ourselves. We just have to be brave enough to reach out. And when we do, we might find that the universe has been reaching back all along. The end.